Namaste and welcome to another session of Living Ayurveda. We hear the word rasa very commonly in Ayurveda. The Taittiriya Upanishad says raso vai saha, that is, he indeed is that rasa. The Lord himself is that essence, that flavor which gives us pleasure in all aspects of life. Whatever flavor or pleasure we seek in any external object or stimulus is because of the presence of that divine, because the Lord permeates his entire creation. The first dhatu in Ayurveda is also the rasa dhatu. And the function of the rasa dhatu is nourishment. It provides nourishment to the entire body. So if a person is depleted in rasa dhatu, if he's depleted in that anatomical rasa dhatu, he will also be depleted in rasa, the flavor or the very essence or nectar of life. Rasa also means taste, and Ayurveda talks about Shadaras or the six tastes, and different foods have different tastes, and different tastes or rasas will pacify or aggravate different doshas. So we use spices in our cooking which impart different rasas or different tastes to the food. So let us see how we can use these different spices and their different properties to our advantage and try to create balance in our bodies. So we can use the kitchen as a dispensary because our food is our medicine and the medicine should be food. So we begin with ginger. Ginger is called Vishwa Bheshaj, which means it is the universal medicine because it pacifies all doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. It increases the digestive fire, and there's a difference between dry ginger and fresh ginger. So this is what fresh ginger looks like, and once it's dehydrated, it can be powdered, and this dry ginger has different properties. So dry ginger pacifies pitta. Ginger is a pungent spice, that is, it has a pungent or a spicy taste to it. But after digestion, dry ginger has a sweet post-digestive effect. That is, amongst the six tastes, there are three tastes that are formed after digestion. So even though ginger is pungent, its post-digestive effect or taste is sweet, and therefore dry ginger actually pacifies pitta and can be used to relieve diarrhea. Whereas fresh ginger is heating and its post-digestive effect is also pungent. So it is hot in potency and it pacifies Vata and Kapha but can aggravate Pitta. Because ginger is such a universal digestive herb, it clears and also reduces thirst. So especially when excessive thirst is a manifestation of this is a very good spice to use. So it is used to treat nausea and motion sickness. So before you go out on a trip, if you're prone to motion sickness, if you have some ginger tea or if you chew on a piece of ginger, you're less likely to experience those symptoms. Because it's such a good booster of the digestive fire, it's used in all conditions that have like rheumatoid arthritis. And dry ginger has this special advantage that it pacifies pitta also. So it is not heating and it can be used universally in all doshas. So dry ginger can be used in Vata, Pitta and Kapha, whereas fresh ginger is used in Vata and Kapha. And so when there's a loss of appetite, if you just chew on small pieces of ginger mixed with some rock salt, it stimulates the digestive juice secretion and will stimulate appetite. So ginger should be used in cooking, especially for foods that are heavy to digest, in foods that create vata or gas. So in your kidney beans, in chickpeas, cauliflower, all the foods that create a lot of gas, ginger is the best antidote to add. It can be used as a tea, so you can just boil ginger in water and have it as a tea. It can also be mixed with other spices like mint, lemongrass, and had as a tea. It can be added to dals and vegetables. It can be had as a chutney. In fact, you can mix up some fresh ginger with jaggery, rock salt, and it makes an excellent chutney or sauce, which will improve the appetite and stimulate digestion. Garlic. Garlic is another spice which is very good for both Vata and Kapha. In fact, it has all the 6 tastes except sour. So it has pungent, it has salty, it has sweet, astringent, bitter. So it has 5 tastes from the 6 tastes that have been mentioned. And it is unctuous, that is, it has a slimy nature, and it's hot in potency, it's strong and piercing, and therefore it pacifies Vata and Kapha, and it increases Pitta dosha. So someone who has excessive heat in the body should avoid using garlic. And because of this unctuous or slimy nature, it induces mobility. So it relieves constipation, and because it has a Vata pacifying action, it can be used to treat bloating in the belly and hiccups. So it's a very good digestive. It can be added to soups, to curries, to vegetables, to chutneys, sauces. It's nourishing, and it is a rasayan. As we discussed earlier, rasayan is a herb that tonifies the body and rejuvenates and promotes longevity. So it has a rejuvenative effect on the body. And it's good for worm infestations, for all kinds of infections, because poor Agni or poor digestive fire and Am is the root cause of all disease. It has an aphrodisiac action, so it stimulates sexual desire, and that is why yogis sometimes avoid taking garlic, because it increases rajas. Because of the strong effect on the digestive fire and it digests Am, it reduces serum cholesterol, because raised serum cholesterol is a manifestation of Am. Because it has a potent effect on Vata, so it benefits all neurological conditions, especially those associated with pain, like neuralgia, nerve pain, sciatica, paralysis. And it can be used in different ways. It can be added to vegetables, pulses, made into a chutney with other herbs. It can be boiled in milk, and this is called shirpak. So many herbs are boiled in milk, and this preparation helps to preserve the active principle of the herb, because it gets absorbed into the lipid or the fat of the milk. And especially in conditions where the body needs nourishment and lubrication, garlic is used in milk. So we boil a few cloves of garlic in milk, in a mixture of half milk and half water, and reduce it till it becomes half, so that the water evaporates and you're left with only the milk, which has been infused with the goodness of the herb, and that is administered. So that is used in conditions like sciatica, in neuralgia, in tinnitus, and so on. So garlic is a herb that is available everywhere, and it can be used in the kitchen to relieve so many common problems that we experience. Cardamom is another excellent herb and is also tridoshik. It pacifies all doshas, especially kapha in the lungs and stomach. And this has a unique property that it is cooling as well as kapha pacifying. Most kapha pacifying herbs are heating, but since cardamom has a cooling effect in addition to the kapha pacifying effect, it is especially good when there is a pitta and a kapha combination. So where you don't want aggravation of pitta by a heating herb in the presence of kapha. So it is an excellent digestive. So it relieves nausea, vomiting, acidity, and spasms. And you can just chew on a pod of cardamom. It's an excellent mouth freshener. It's usually chewed on after food, so for its digestive effect, for the mouth freshening effect. It prevents progress of cataract because of its anti-kapha action, and cataract is basically a manifestation of extra kapha. So cardamom can help delay the progress of cataract, and it has a versatile usage. You can add it to your chai in summer because it has a cooling effect, whereas you would use ginger in the chai in the winters to create warmth. You can use cardamom for summers. It's great to add to all milk desserts and milk itself because it has a potent kapha neutralizing action. And we know that milk and anything that's sweet aggravates kapha. So it's good to combine. It adds a wonderful flavor to the milk and milk desserts, and at the same time, it pacifies the kapha. And it's specific antidote for the banana. So if you chew on a cardamom pod after eating a banana, it helps to digest the banana and reduce the kapha aggravating effect that the banana can have. In fact, in the ancient times, to ripen raw bananas, a few pods of cardamom were placed along with the unripe bananas, and that hastened the ripening of the bananas. And because it has a sweet taste, it combines very well with sweet spices like fennel or cinnamon, and you can use these various combinations for tea. So fennel and cardamom combine very well to form a very good pitta tea to pacify excessive pitta. It can also be used in cooking, in curries. You can add it to your rice while cooking. So it reduces the kapha aggravating effect and gives a wonderful flavor. Black mustard is another spice which is heating. So it reduces kapha and vata but can increase pitta, and it increases the digestive agni. So the warming effect and dispersing quality of mustard seeds improves the lymphatic circulation. It reduces swelling, edema, and puffiness. So if you had the tahini sauce, it has that pungent taste and it has a heating effect. So the heat and intensity can aggravate bleeding disorders. So if you have a tendency to excessive bleeding, say in the menstrual period, or a tendency to bleeding from the nose, or you have excess pith, it's better to avoid mustard seeds or use them in moderation. Also in hot weather, because it has a heating effect, it's better to use in moderation in the hot summer months. Coriander seeds, they're also tridoshic. They pacify all the three doshas, especially pitta of the digestive and the urinary tract. So they have a cooling effect. So excellent for pitta conditions where there is poor agni but excessive pitta. So the example they give in Ayurveda of conditions which have poor agni but excessive pith, because we understand pith to be fire, but we know that pitta also has water. So pitta is made of fire and water. So it's compared to hot steam. So just like if you throw hot steam or hot water on fire, it extinguishes or puts out the fire, even though it generates heat. So in the same way, conditions that have excessive pitta can have poor agni. That is, there is poor or ineffective digestion despite the presence of excessive heat. So examples are ulcerative colitis and peptic ulcers, where you have poor digestion but there's a lot of heat in the digestive tract, and which can also manifest as bleeding from the digestive tract. So it's excellent for those conditions. So in a pitta individual with poor digestion, coriander seeds are very good to use. And also because they work on the urinary tract and have a diuretic action, that is, it increases the urine flow. So it benefits urine infections and water retention. So it's good to clear water retention from the body, increases the urine flow, and an excellent source of calcium and magnesium. So in fact, we use this as a calcium supplement. So a combination of cumin seeds and coriander seeds in more or less equal proportion can be used as a natural calcium supplement. Most chemical calcium supplements cause a lot of digestive disturbance, and many people experience bloating and gas when they take these chemical calcium supplements. So this can be a very good natural resource of calcium, and also because it is natural, the bioavailability or the absorption of the calcium from such natural sources is much better than it is with any chemical calcium sources as found in the pills. Coriander seeds also help to bind stools. So, very good home remedy for diarrhea. So, you can boil coriander seeds powder and dry ginger powder and drink it as a tea to stop diarrhea. So, it has a binding effect on the stool, and also it increases the digestive fire without aggravating the pitta. So, that helps to digest the arm, and arm is usually a cause of diarrhea. It reduces thirst. So again, in conditions of fever associated with excessive thirst, where too much water intake can further dampen the agni and worsen the arm condition, it's good to take a decoction of dry ginger and coriander seed powder. So that will reduce the excessive thirst, improve the digestive fire, digest the arm, and cause a remission of the fever. And also because it improves the digestive fire, it's good in cases of loss of appetite. It stimulates the agni and stimulates appetite. Also excellent to relieve vomiting and burning sensation. So it's a cooling herb. So whenever there's burning sensation anywhere in the body, maybe in the skin or in the urinary tract or in the stomach, this is a very good herb. Cumin, another spice which improves the digestive fire without increasing heat. So excellent for all pitta conditions. In fact, it's tridoshic, balances all the three doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. And cumin, just like coriander, it has a binding effect on the stool. So very good in cases of malabsorption and diarrhea. So irritable bowel disease accompanied by loose motions and malabsorption, cumin is very good because it improves the digestive fire. It is an appetizer. It improves the appetite. It improves strength and immunity. Useful again in fever because of the effect that it has on the digestive fire. It also improves vision and sperm count and improves bone density. So as I mentioned, a combination of cumin and coriander can be used very effectively to combat postmenopausal osteoporosis, and also during pregnancy where there's an increase in the requirement of calcium, and often women do not tolerate the calcium supplements, which are basically chemical calcium. So cumin is also one herb which is used in postpartum care, that is after the delivery of the newborn. It is excellent because it detoxifies the uterus and also increases milk secretion. So it has a dual advantage in this period. And dry roasting is often done of these seeds because it gives it a flavor, but this should be generally avoided as it leads to a loss of the volatile oil which is present in this seed. Instead, if you use it in oil, so tempering in oil will prevent the loss of the volatile oil, which gets absorbed into the oil or the ghee which is being used to fry the spices. The next herb that we commonly use is Asafetida, and it's again a heating herb, and so it balances Kapha and Vata but can increase Pitta, and it increases the digestive Agni and has this unique action of scraping the channels. So it clears the blockages of channels, and it's excellent to help the normal downward movement of Vata, that is the peristalsis. So if you have abdominal gas, this is an excellent spice to relieve that. So you must add it to dishes that actually cause excessive gas, like chickpeas, cauliflower, and kidney beans, and so on. And in fact, as a home remedy, it is used to apply locally on the belly of newborn babies or even infants when they have cramps due to gas. So when they have that colic, you mix a little Asafetida in water and apply it over the belly, and it helps the downward movement of the gas and will help cramping. It's also used in asthma and other respiratory conditions because it has a powerful effect on Vata. And usually, these respiratory conditions are associated with an excessive increase in Vata. So that causes bronchospasm, and Asafetida helps to relax the bronchioles and has a bronchodilatory effect and helps to relieve the breathlessness. Asafetida is actually obtained from the resin of a plant, and this is how it looks like. And then it is powdered, and it's used in very minute quantities. So you just want to pinch when you're cooking for about 3 to 4 people, and it should never be used raw. So it should always be tempered in ghee or oil or added during cooking, and it cannot be used raw later on as a garnish. Fenugreek is another very important herb. This is also hot in potency, so it pacifies Vata and Pitta, but increases Vata and Kapha, but increases Pitta. So it improves digestion. It is useful in loss of appetite, in abdominal colic, constipation, and bloating. So basically, bloating and colic are because of excessive gas. So whenever there is excessive gas or Vata, there is pain or colic. And fenugreek seeds also have a very good laxative effect. So you can soak these seeds in water overnight, and this creates a slimy, the water becomes slimy, and you can also give it a boil to actually enhance the absorption, and then have it as a tea. Excellent to relieve constipation. Also, all kinds of pains, so nerve pains, which are usually because of excessive bath. So neuralgias, paralysis, when there's productive cough, because productive cough is usually associated with excessive kapha and vata. So there is, and then in diabetes, in fact, it is marketed in capsular form to treat diabetes. It reduces high cholesterol, good for weight management when there's excessive weight. So PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, and obesity can benefit to a large extent by using this fenugreek tea, by soaking the fenugreek seeds in water overnight, boiling them, and then drinking it as a tea. It's again an excellent herb to be used in the postpartum care, that is after delivery, because it increases lactation and also reduces bath, and so it will reduce the pain. And there is an increase in bath in the system after delivery, so that can lead to postpartum depression, postpartum backaches, and so on. So this is an excellent part of the care in the postpartum period. And it's also an excellent hair conditioner and very good for dandruff. So not only when taken internally, but soaked fenugreek seeds can be crushed into a paste and applied on the scalp and left on for a few minutes. And then when you wash them off, this helps in treating dandruff and also gives a very good hair conditioning effect. Because it is a very heating spice, it may worsen bleeding disorders. So if you have heavy periods or a tendency to bleed from any other site, or you have excessive pitta, it's better to avoid this. In addition to having it as a tea, it can also be used in cooking. So you can use it again in all vegetables and pulses which create a lot of gas or wind. And in winters, because it is a heating herb, in India, a sweet is made out of fenugreek powder and ghee and jaggery. So, and urad dal. So this forms a very nourishing sweet, and it also pacifies Vata, and it is very good to create heat in the system. It's a warming spice, and this heat is required in winters. And the jaggery is also heating. So it forms a very nourishing and warming dessert. Turmeric is an excellent herb which is being used a lot these days with the COVID infection because it has a potent antiviral effect, and we see this turmeric latte becoming very famous these days. Turmeric being boiled in milk, and again it's hot in potency, so it reduces kapha and am but increases pitta and vata when consumed in high doses. It has potent antioxidant, antibiotic, analgesic, and anti-inflammatory effect. So what you can use it as a home remedy to treat almost all infections, and it reduces cholesterol and has an anti-platelet activity. So this herb should be used with caution if you're already on other drugs that cause poor coagulation or which inhibit the clotting tendency of the blood. We had a patient who came with bleeding from the nose, and she had a heart valve replacement, and she was on anticoagulants, medicines that are used to prevent clotting of the blood. So we thought that the bleeding that she was having from the nose was probably due to excess of the anticoagulant medication. But when we tested the blood parameters, the clotting factors, they were normal, and but she continued to bleed. So we had a review with the ENT, the ear, nose, throat physician, and there was no pathology in the nose. There was no polyps or any tumor in the nose, and her blood pressure was also normal. So it was difficult to find out the actual cause of bleeding. And later she shared with us that she had been consuming turmeric in excessive doses. So because we read and hear about all these spices, but they should be used in the correct dosage. And because Indian cooking already has turmeric in almost everything, so she was consuming extra turmeric in a large dose, thinking that it is good to prevent cold and infection. And because she overdid that, because of the anti-platelet activity of the turmeric, she developed bleeding from the nose. So we must remember that these spices should always be used in the right dosage, and we must never overdo any of this. So because of the potent antioxidant and analgesic anti-inflammatory activity that it has, turmeric is used in arthritis. So it helps relieve pains. It's used in skin disorders like eczema, hives, psoriasis, and acne. It's used in diabetes. A combination of turmeric with amla in equal proportion works very well when taken before a meal in diabetes. It's used as a home remedy for wounds. So if you get an injury, especially an open wound, you can apply turmeric powder on the wound and it stops the bleeding instantly. So it has a hemostatic action. It not only stops the bleeding, but it also prevents infection in the wound because it has an antiseptic activity. And it's an excellent immune booster. So with the current COVID situation, this is definitely a herb that we must include in our meals, either in the cooking or as a tea or in milk, depending on our dosha or prakriti. Cloves are also heating in potency, hot in potency. They reduce kapha and vata and can increase pitta if used in high dosage. They are digestive, antimicrobial, and they relieve cough, cold, hiccups, which are because of excessive kapha or vata. They relieve joint pain, nausea, fever, and cloves can be used internally with food or as a tea, and they can also be used externally. They can be applied externally. A paste of clove can be applied on the joints for relief of pain in arthritis, can be applied to the forehead for headaches, and also you can chew on a clove to get relief from a toothache. Tulsi is holy basil, so it belongs to the family, it's related to the family of the basil that we use in salads. And this is also hot in potency, so it balances Vata and Kapha, but can increase Pitta if used in excess. This also has a potent antiviral action, so excellent to use these days. And it also has an antioxidant and immune boosting action. It improves digestion and so is an appetizer. And this is often given as prasad um, when the food is offered. Tulsi is added. So, not only because of its medicinal property, but also because of the positive effect it has on the energy. And it's an excellent herb for respiratory support. So, for all kinds of respiratory illnesses, bronchitis, asthma, tuberculosis, it's an excellent herb. And you can make a tea out of it. You can chew on a few leaves. It has a mouth freshening effect. It's also cardioprotective. It's useful in vomiting, fever, very good respiratory tonic, hives, abdominal gas, anxiety, and depression. Now, anxiety and depression usually have a lot of vata aggravation. So, Tulsi works both ways. It works to reduce the vata, and so it eases the anxiety, and also because of the effect that it has on the energetic level, it can help quieten an agitated mind. And traditionally, Tulsi can be made into a paste and applied on the skin to get relief from fungal infections. Sesame seeds, they're also heating and they calm Vata and Kapha but can slightly increase Pitta. They have a potent antioxidant effect. They are an excellent laxative, so you can chew on a teaspoon of sesame seeds every morning. They're a rich source of calcium, so they strengthen the bones, muscles, and joints. Because they have calcium and they also have a lubricating effect because of the oil that is present in them. So they're very good for osteoarthritis because there's usually a drying up of the lubrication or the cartilage inside the joints in osteoarthritis. And so they're very good for the teeth. So just like we do oil pulling, you can also chew on a teaspoon of sesame seeds in the morning. That's excellent for the teeth, for oral hygiene. It benefits the gums, and of course will give the calcium and the minerals that it contains. Also very good for weight management, even though they are a source of oil and nutrition, but because they have a kapha pacifying effect and because of the warming property that they help to control weight, and they lower cholesterol. And research has also shown that it has a protective effect on Alzheimer's disease, because Alzheimer's disease is basically because of increase in bath, and sesame seeds have a nourishing effect. They are antioxidant and they reduce bath, so they have a positive effect on the brain health. So sesame seeds can be used as such in cooking. You can grind them into a paste and add them to your curries and soups. They provide a nutty flavor in salads. You can make sweet balls out of it with jaggery, very good in the winters because they provide the warmth and they're also very nourishing. You can use the oil, till oil, that is sesame oil, for cooking, and also externally in massage, for oil pulling, for oral, in the oral cavity. Karnapuran, we already discussed, instilling sesame oil in the ears, which will prevent conditions like tinnitus and vertigo, as nasya, that is in the nose. Then black pepper. Black pepper is also a pungent spice which has a strong piercing action. And because it has a heating effect, it reduces bath and cough. But it is not very hot. So if used in moderation, it will not aggravate pitta. It improves the digestive fire, and so it improves appetite. In fact, black pepper has been used since the ancient times in India, and chilies are not indigenous to India. So chili was basically came into India from Mexico and from South America. So before the introduction of the chilies, India used black pepper as the warming spice, and it is useful in worm infestation, in recurrent fevers, in the management of obesity and respiratory conditions, because it improves the Agni, clears arm, and has a Vata and Kapha pacifying action. Bay leaf, which also has a very strong and pleasing flavor. It's hot in potency. It reduces kapha and vata, but can increase pitta if used in excess because of the heating effect it has. It's also a potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. And the benefits are that it benefits bad odor from the mouth and helps dental caries. In fact, many dental tooth powders used for cleaning of the teeth have bay leaf included in them, and very good for cough and cold. So it can be used as a home remedy. You can boil them as a tea and have them. You can add it in the cooking, and it has also been mentioned in the Ayurvedic text to help in complications of tuberculosis. Excellent to use after childbirth, so it's good to clear the toxins from the uterus. It also has a diuretic effect, so it reduces swelling and increases the urine flow, so good to use when you have kidney stones. Also good for liver and spleen health, and hemorrhoids or piles due to kapha are benefited by this because it helps to reduce the size of the piles. Cinnamon is hot in potency. It has a sweet taste and it balances Vata and Kapha but increases Pitta. It improves the digestion, clears the arm, and can relieve colicky pain. It also relieves sore throat, cough, and headache. So if you have a flu, you can mix some cinnamon with honey and lick it. It will help to relieve the sore throat. And this also has a diuretic action, so it increases the urine flow and good to use in conditions of urinary stones or fluid retention in the body. And it helps to lower the blood sugar, so very good for diabetics. It's being marketed in the capsular form, so you can just boil it as a tea and have it. You can add it to cooking. Good to add to sweets, especially milk desserts, because it has a sweet taste, so it blends very well with that. It also lowers serum cholesterol. Star anise is another very potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial spice. It improves digestion, and because of this anti-inflammatory effect, it relieves cramps, nausea, and bloating, and very good to relieve cough and cold. And this has a very sweet flavor, so you can use it as a tea. And in fact, Tamiflu, which is an antiviral medicine, has the active ingredient is succinic acid, which is an extract from the star anise spice. So if you use these herbs regularly in your cooking, they already provide that antiviral, anti-inflammatory action and prevent illness. Curry leaves, very commonly used in Indian cooking, again pacify all doshas, especially Pitta and Kapha. So these are the few herbs which are actually useful for Pitta. So till now we have discussed fennel, coriander, cumin, and now curry leaves. So these 4 herbs are good for Pitta. They are cooling, at the same time they improve the digestive fire. So because they improve the digestive fire, they have an appetizing effect. They improve appetite, it controls diabetes and high cholesterol. So they can be added to food during cooking, or they can be made into a chutney, that is a sauce with other herbs like coriander, cilantro, lemon. Depending on your constitution, you can use different herbs in combination, and they form very tasty chutneys or sauces that can accompany food. And very good for anemia because they contain a lot of iron, and also for motion sickness. So you can chew on a few curry leaves before going on a trip if you're prone to motion sickness. Very good for mouth ulcers because they have a pitta pacifying action, and mouth ulcers are usually due to excessive heat. So curry leaves can be used for that. Curry leaves are also used to augment the action of the thyroid gland. So we can combine curry leaves with mint leaves. So about 20 to 30 curry leaves with 10 to 15 mint leaves can be chewed in the morning, or they can be made into a paste and had as a chutney, and that is very good for thyroid. They also benefit hair, so internally including them in your diet, and also externally applying a paste of curry leaves on the scalp can help dandruff and hair fall. And because they actually belong to the neem family, so neem is a very potent antiseptic, antimicrobial herb, and this is called the sweet neem because neem is a bitter herb, and but curry leaves belong to the same family, and so they fight infection. So very good as a natural antiseptic, especially in conditions of excessive pitta. Fennel is another cooling herb and pacifies all doshas, improves digestive agni, and improves strength and immunity. And because it improves the digestive agni and is also has a cooling effect, it's good for constipation and when there's burning sensation anywhere in the body, when there's anorexia, that is loss of appetite and lack of interest in food. In fact, fennel seeds are chewed on after a meal, so they not only have a mouth freshening effect, but also help in digestion of the food, pacifying all the doshas. And excellent to use for nausea, vomiting, and motion sickness. So you can have it as a tea. You can also add it to soups. It gives a wonderful flavor. Or you can just chew on a teaspoon of fennel seeds. Because it has a cooling effect, so very good to use for bleeding disorders of pitta origin. So would be excellent for peptic ulcers and ulcerative colitis. Also, because it pacifies kapha, one can use it for cough and cold and chronic respiratory conditions leading to emaciation and pain arising from the female reproductive system, which means there is excessive vata and kapha. So fennel helps to relieve that. And we have mint, which is also easily available everywhere. It is hot in potency, so pacifies kapha and vata. It is an appetizer, so usually made into a chutney or can be had as a tea. It has an anti-diabetic and cholesterol reducing action. Also a very good antioxidant and antimicrobial. So good to relieve indigestion because of its vata pacifying action. It relieves motion sickness and nausea. Good for diarrhea, especially with vata aggravation. Good for fever, painful menstruation. Pain anywhere in the body is because of excessive vata. So mint tea will help to relieve painful menstruation and also joint pains. Nutmeg is another warming spice with pungent, bitter, and astringent taste. Because of its heating potency, it is good for vata and cough, but can increase pitta. It stimulates appetite and digestion. It's used as a home remedy to manage diarrhea and gas in babies. So infants who have problem digesting milk or who have colic, so we take a pinch of, a very tiny pinch of nutmeg, or we can rub the nutmeg and the little paste that comes out. So we add that to the milk, and that helps to relieve diarrhea and gas. It has an anti-inflammatory action, so it gives relief from joint pains, and it has a potent effect on the brain. So it reduces anxiety and depression. So it's a natural sleep aid. So warm milk with some nutmeg boiled in it is recommended before going to bed, and that helps to reduce anxiety, reduce the bath, and induces sleep. Because it has a potent action on kapha, it's used in desserts, in cooking, usually milk desserts, and in baking. to reduce the kapha effect. Carom seeds or Ajvain, they're also hot in potency and have a sharp and piercing quality. So because of this warming effect and piercing effect, they're good for kapha and vata but can increase pitta. They're digestive, so they're used in conditions with excessive gas, a lot of bath with abdominal gas, bloating, colicky pain. So if you experience colic and bloating, you can just take a teaspoon of carom seeds and a little black salt and chew on that. That helps to relieve the pain. And because they have this piercing quality, they're good for worm infestation. The warming effect and the vata pacifying action works very well for joint pains. And because they have this sharp piercing quality, they're good for abdominal tumors, spleen enlargement, they lower cholesterol, they're antihypertensive, antispasmodic, and they have a diuretic action. Now, because of this combination of diuretic action and antispasmodic action, because it helps to relieve the spasm and it increases the urine flow, they are a very good home remedy for urinary stones. So it helps to relieve the spasm and it helps the stone to pass down and increases the urine flow. It also has a bronchodilatory effect, that is, it relaxes the muscles in the bronchi or the wind passages, and so it will have a calming effect in respiratory illnesses and asthma. Kokum, which is also known as Garcinia, it is available. This is the fresh fruit, and this is also available in the dehydrated form as a spice. This is usually the ripe fruit, which is available in the dehydrated form. The unripe fruit, which is very sour, it relieves vata but increases kapha and pitta, whereas the ripe fruit reduces kapha and vata, and at the same time it doesn't increase pitta. So even though it doesn't pacify pitta, it doesn't worsen pitta. So in fact, it is good for all the three doshas. So, and because it has a sour taste, one can add it to food to increase the taste of the food. So whenever you want to have a sour taste in any soup or curry or dal, this is a good addition. It improves digestion and aids weight loss and also controls diabetes. So it improves the taste and helps relieve anorexia because the sour taste is known to stimulate appetite and stimulate salivation. So it relieves bloating, flatulence, colicky pain, and because it has an absorbent effect, it's useful in diarrhea and especially cases of irritable bowel syndrome with excessive bowel movement. Also helps hemorrhoids or piles of kapha origin, where there's excessive discharge and itchy piles. So this is a good thing to add to food. It relieves excessive thirst. In India, it is used to make refreshing drinks, sharbats or squashes made of kokum, crude cane rock sugar. It's used in hot summer as a refreshing drink, and it's a good cardiac tonic. And also, it has been mentioned in the Ayurvedic texts to help clear tumors of the abdomen and worm infestation. Rose is another excellent herb which in fact pacifies all doshas and it has a cooling effect. So just by looking at the rose, you can feel the cooling effect it has. And it is said to strengthen the heart. So the anatomical heart, and research has shown that it reduces the hyperactivity of the heart and it has a tonifying effect on the heart, similar to the effect that the parasympathetic nerves will have. So it reduces the hyperactivity of the heart and increases its functioning. It also has a good laxative action. In fact, in India, we use a jam which is made of rose petals and rock sugar, and so it is layered. It's usually placed in the sunlight. So we take a glass container and layer rose petals with powdered cane sugar in its crude form, not the refined sugar. And so we layer this and close the container, airtight container, and place it in the sun. And the sugar helps to release the juice from the rose petals, and the sunlight cooks it, and it forms an excellent jam which has an excellent taste and flavor. And it can be used as a jam. It can also be used to sweeten milk or used in milk puddings. It has a very cooling effect on the system, and it has a laxative effect, and it strengthens the digestive system. So excellent for excessive pitta conditions of the gut like ulcerative colitis, acidity. You can also have it in the dry form. So rose petals can be dehydrated and had as a tea, or can be chewed on, or so you can have it in various forms. And it also has an effect on the brain. So it helps to calm down the brain. It has been mentioned in the Ayurvedic text to increase not only understanding but also memory, retention, and recall. And it benefits not only the anatomical heart but also the metaphysical heart. So it creates tranquility and contentment. And that's why it's used to open the heart chakra. And because of its cooling effect, it is used to relieve burning sensation in the body. Excellent for skin because it has a potent effect on the bhrajak pith, which is the pith present in the skin, and also has a soothing effect for the eyes. So rose water, which is the extract of the rose petals, it is used to instill. We can instill the rose water in eyes, and which it has a cooling effect. So can be used especially when there's a lot of eye strain with burning and redness of the eyes, working on the computers, or in people with excessive pitta. So for all these, we use the Indian rose, that is the indigenous rose that is found in India, which is usually pink in color and is fragrant. And this English rose, which is non-fragrant, the one you see here at the bottom, this cannot be used for the medicinal effect. So this indigenous Indian rose is used for these medicinal properties. So we've seen that all the different spices have different actions, and if we have a knowledge of the different actions that the different spices have, we can use it to our advantage to create balance and harmony in our system. And not only do they provide a flavor to food, but also create health and balance. So, as most people think that healthy food is not tasty, this is not true, because healthy food can be very tasty, and tasty food may not always be healthy. So let us use these spices to our advantage to not only create flavor in our life, in our food, but also to create balance and health. So thank you, and we'll see you soon in the next session. Namaste.